want to speak to you about Johnny Nelson. He's come under quite a lot of fire recently online for one calling Alexander Usyk an average southpaw. What your comments on that?
You know, you've got to remember that Johnny Nelson's career spanned decades, and you look at, you know, Johnny Nelson boxed a very, very good southpaw in Ezra Sellers. If you remember the epic battle he had with Cole Thompson, and there was, you know, 5 or 6 knockdowns in that fight. Ezra Sellers was a very good southpaw, and I would say a better southpaw than Usyk. And it's about who's about at the time. You know, Johnny, when he was, the thing with Johnny was pushed to name some outstanding southpaws, and the first outstanding southpaw is, and I'm going to struggle to say it now, is Lomachenko. He's an outstanding southpaw because he utilises his stance, you know, spinning out to the right. He's very effective against orthodox fighters, but he was less effective against a southpaw fighter when he boxed the kid from Hull. Go on, tell me. Luke Campbell. You know what I mean? Because the stuff what works against an orthodox fighter doesn't particularly work against a southpaw fighter. So if Usyk was the Lomachenko of the heavyweight or cruiserweight division, then he would be an outstanding southpaw. But he's not. He's a basic southpaw, but he does the basics very well. And that's what I think Johnny was trying to get across. He's not outstanding, you know. He's a very competent southpaw, and he's a very good boxer, and he's a better boxer than AJ. Because if I said to you what's AJ's main attribute, is his physicality and his power, not his boxing ability. If I said to you can pick his boxing ability or his power, what would you pick? Power. Exactly. What would everybody pick? Power. Right. And if I said to you what's Usyk's strong point, is it boxing or his power? Boxing. So that's all right if AJ can hit him. But if Usyk's a very good boxer and he's very difficult to hit, then that power is going to be negated. So, you know, Usyk isn't an outstanding southpaw. He's just a very well-schooled southpaw who knows how not to get hit and how to use his southpaw stance and all the tricks a southpaw's got to land the shot and avoid getting hit. So that's what I think what Johnny's trying to get across. But you'd expect him, you know, for me, for Usyk to be an outstanding southpaw, he'd have to be a similar kind of thing to Lomachenko. He's got that kind of movement, and people say, oh, you can't be like that as an heavyweight. Yeah, well, you can actually. Look at the speed of Mike Tyson, how fast he was. You know, he was only light, 15.5 stone, but he was very fast on his feet. So Usyk, you know, he's not, you know, in the sense how we describe it from the INGLE gym point of view, we won't describe him as an outstanding southpaw. We'd say he's a very well schooled, you know, southpaw. And very good from the position, but he's nothing flash about it. There's nothing flash about him at all. He's just tough. He's got a good boxing brain, and he knows how to deal with orthodox fighters like Joshua who aren't as good boxers as him.
I'm going to keep with the subject of the AJ Usyk fight. It is at this time. It is still rumours. It's not 100% official. That Sky Sports have won the rights for the fight. Do you think that's good for boxing? You know, what's your opinions on that?
It's good for the people who are getting the money. It's good for AJ and Usyk because obviously I believe big bids have gone in, and I think, you know, I think people are used to AJ being on Sky, and it's an easier. The Sky do the build up, and people will buy into AJ on Sky because he's getting pumped out continuously. So I think it's probably good for him because for some reason I just don't think DAZN at the minute have just got people switched on in that way to sign up to it on the internet. You know, it's already in. You know, if I had to go to my house, if I ate ice cream and there was one in the fridge, and I had to walk to the fridge and eat it from the fridge, I'd rather do that than walk down the street and get one that's slightly better when I've had to walk for it. Because people want access. When they're sat down for the evening, they don't want to be fiddling around. You know, you don't tend to have any issues getting onto Sky for box office. Sometimes with the stuff you do. So, not that I subscribe to either. But it's probably, you know, Sky probably got a better idea of Joshua's numbers, you know, what they can make on it. and it might even be a lost leader, I don't know, just to rub Eddie's nose in it. But you know, the only probably winner in that situation is going to be AJ and Usyk. I don't, you know, it might cost Sky money to do that, and it doesn't look good for the DAZN not managing to keep hold of AJ, does it? I don't think.
You know, just to make fans understand, because you've got experience with this, like, you know, big paydays for fighters, you know, prize fighters, like Naz back in the day was getting paid millions. You know, you've had experience similar with Kel, Billy, etc. How much money is enough? Because obviously Anthony Joshua doesn't flash money, he doesn't drive around in Ferraris or anything like that. He stays like a humble lifestyle if you look at it from his social media point of view. How much money is enough? Where do you draw the line and think, you know what, because he could retire tomorrow, couldn't he?
Yeah, listen, everybody's motivation is different, and if that's the life he's, you know, fair play to him, because it's good to have money to be independent, to do what you want to be able to do. But what I've noticed, you know, like say my involvement with people who've had money, like say Naz for argument's sake, once you've got that disposable income and all you're doing is buying flash cars and big houses, like, well, like people say, you can't take it with you. What's the, you know, you need that for security. What do you need it for? You can't. I think I've said this before in interviews. You know, I went to Naz's house, and he used to have the cars lined up, and the one nearest his house was the one he drove, and he said, "No, Dominic, all my cars." And I went, "Yeah, great, Naz. You know, I bet you wish I had a car like that." I goes, "I'm not particularly bothered about cars. It's never been my thing." And I says, "Yeah, because you've got 9 cars, Naz, and they're all great." I says, "But you know, I can drive all them cars." I says, "And you can drive all them cars." I says, "But I can't drive them all at once, and neither can you." I says, "But if you could," I said, "that'd be impressive." Because, "But you can't. You can only do what a normal person can do." I says, "You've afforded them, but they sat there doing nothing." I says, "So what's impressive about that? It's just stacked up and they're just rotting, really." So, you know, if AJ's motivation isn't money, that's good. That's good. Same as Mayweather. How did Mayweather, for the millions, he had carry on and carry on and carry on because he wanted to be great. And maybe it kept him balanced and it kept him on track, and he'll go down in the history books, because you're not going to be remembered for the cars that you had or the lavish lifestyle you had when the dust has settled in 10, 15, 20 years' time. You're going to be remembered for the fights that you won and being unbeaten. That's what you're going to be remembered for. And that can't be bought, can it? You can buy cars, you can buy houses, you can buy it on credit. Even if you haven't got the money, you can borrow or beg or steal or whatever. But you can't buy legacies. So forget about money. Because if you're doing it for money, first of all, you've got to love doing what you're doing. You've got to love the challenge. And it's got to be more than money. Because when you've got all the money, if that was your motivation, once you've got all the money, with time and time and time going, the money's got to be the less motivation, because it's not, you get past a certain point and you don't need it. So it's got to be something else what drives you. So maybe that's why AJ is trying to do what he's doing. And if he can turn it around against Usyk, fair play to me, turn it around against Ruiz. You know, terrible fight when he got beat, but he turned it around. And then he got beat by Usyk, and now he's got time to redeem himself. And now the question is, can he do that?
Spot on. Dom, thank you so much for your opinion. You don't fancy the Prime Minister's job, do you? You talk a good game.
Well, I had to laugh at, well, I didn't have to laugh. I think it was actually our interview with Eddie, and, you know, he might be right. You know, he said, I could be Prime Minister and, you know, maybe my dad would do a better job, but it might sound ridiculous, but Ronald Reagan was the president of the US. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. I know whether the, you know, both of them fellas, Schwarzenegger or Reagan, studied politics for any length of time, I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's management, you know, managing companies, really, you know, being a Prime Minister is a management thing, and, you know, Eddie has done a good job. His dad did a good job with their company as well. They were on the brink of bankruptcy and it all closing, and they turned themselves back round again. So, you know, he might be right. Why not? Why not give it a try? And he said, and the rest of them are useless. I'm sick of following politics because, like I say, it's sometimes it just seems they're not in touch with real people. Whereas, you know, in boxing you are in touch with real people and you understand how people work. So it was interesting, you know, watching that. It was quite funny, to be honest.